Have you ever really thought about being unconscious? I mean, whether it's drifting off to sleep naturally or being put under for surgery. On the surface, they look pretty much the same, right? You're just out. But as we're about to find out, what's happening inside our brains couldn't be more different. So let's unravel this unconscious riddle together.
So right off the bat, the core difference is huge. Natural sleep, that's an active, internally generated process. Your brain is actually super busy, restoring itself, consolidating memories. It's doing important work. General anesthesia, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's a chemically induced shutdown, basically a forced, reversible coma that gives you none of those amazing restorative benefits of sleep.
And that brings up a really fascinating question. We know the experience and the brain activity are different, but what if we go deeper? Like all the way down to the genetic level? Is our DNA flipping the same switches to take us into these two very, very different states of unconsciousness? Well, that's the riddle we're digging into today. Okay, so to kick things off, let's look at what we can actually observe. We know both states make you unconscious, but what's really going on differently with the brain's wiring? Here's a good way to think about it. Sleep is like a highly organized, controlled system maintenance for your brain. Specific circuits are carefully managed while others get busy consolidating your memories. Anesthesia, it's way less subtle. It pretty much disrupts communication across the entire brain, especially between those key hubs that process information. It's less like a careful tune-up and more like someone just yanking the main power plug. So to get past what brainwaves alone can tell us, scientists decided they had to go deeper, like way deeper, right into our genetic code itself. They wanted to see if they could pinpoint the specific genes that get switched on or off during these states. And their approach was really clever. Researchers took genetic data from mice that were awake, asleep, and under anesthesia. Then they basically unleashed a powerful AI to sift through all that genetic noise, hunting for the specific genetic signatures that defined each unique state of unconsciousness. And what they found was pretty remarkable. It turns out the brain doesn't just have one single genetic off switch. It has two. The analysis revealed two completely separate and distinct genetic pathways that both lead to unconsciousness. So the first clue involved 507 genes. And these genes are all linked to the GABAergic system. That's the network of neurons that basically tells other neurons to quiet down, to just chill out. Think of it as the brain's main brake pedal. And all this activity was happening up in layer 1 of the cortex, kind of like the brain's top floor, which is a major control hub. Now, the second clue was an even bigger group of genes. These are tied to the glutamatergic system. And if the other one's the brake, this is the gas pedal. These are the neurons that tell other neurons to fire. But this activity wasn't happening on the top floor. It was happening way down deep in layer 6, a foundational layer that communicates with all these crucial structures deep inside the brain. So to be super clear, we are not talking about a handful of genes here. We're looking at two huge, distinct biological programs. One is a brake system at the very top of the cortex, and the other is a gas system down at the foundation. So how can two totally opposite systems in two different places both lead to unconsciousness? And this question leads us right to the heart of the mystery. If the brain is using two completely different toolkits, one inhibitory, one excitatory, to manage unconsciousness, there has to be something that connects them, right? Is there some kind of master controller that's pulling the strings for both of these pathways? You know what? Incredibly, when the researchers looked closer, they found one. They discovered this common thread, a single crucial biological pathway that was active in both the brake and the gas gene sets. And that connection is the RHO GTPase pathway. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but it's not a gene itself. It's a fundamental signaling network inside our cells. The best way to think of it is like a cellular stage manager. It directs the structure, the movement, and the communication of our neurons. It's a master switch that governs how our brain cells are physically organized and how they talk to each other.
This right here is the big breakthrough. The core idea taken straight from the research is that both the brake neurons up in layer 1 and the gas neurons down in layer 6 are using the exact same molecular machinery, this RHO GTPase pathway, to manage unconsciousness. It is the single link between two totally different systems.
Okay, so why does uncovering this master switch actually matter? Well, this is where we move from pure science to practical application, because this discovery opens up some really, truly exciting possibilities for medicine and just our general understanding of the brain. The implications here are just huge. First, safer, more precise anesthesia.
I mean, imagine drugs that can target these exact genetic pathways, reducing side effects. Second, this opens up entirely new avenues for treating sleep disorders. But maybe, just maybe, the most important thing is this. By finally mapping the roads that lead the brain into darkness, we're gathering the first real clues to solving the biggest mystery of all, how the brain creates the light of consciousness itself.
And that leaves us with one last big thought. For the first time, we are literally reading the genetic instruction manual for how the brain turns the lights off. So the question we're left with is, how much closer does this bring us to finally understanding what's happening when the lights are on?